Good morning, and we've headed outside. It is a little bit chilly, but it is pleasant and it is not raining. And we've headed outside for this morning's assembly because I wanted to show you this magnificent tree that sits beside me on the Headmaster's lawn. And this is a beautiful plum tree, and it was very kindly donated in memory of my late wife, and some parents of Headmaster High School, and indeed some parents of West House School got together and bought one of these trees for here at West House, and there is also one up at Headmaster High School for girls. And it sits here on the Headmaster's lawn, so when I'm having a bad day, I can see it from my study. I have a look out the window. It reminds me of my wife Sasha, who many of you will remember, someone who was beautiful on the outside and really beautiful on the inside. And losing Sasha was difficult, as I'm sure you can imagine. And it tested a couple of things that I want to talk to you about this morning. It tested my resilience, and it also tested my faith. Resilience is something that we as teachers are expected to teach young people. And resilience comes in all shapes and sizes. And as I look back on my education, there were moments that tested my resilience along the way, which meant ultimately, when I lost my wife, I was resilient enough to take the loss in my stride and to carry on. In essence, resilience is coping with disappointment, coping with upset, and being able to function. And as I say, it comes in all shapes and sizes. And even young people have moments in their lives where they have to demonstrate resilience. And it might be something incredibly simple, like finding the work a little bit difficult. Isn't it easy to stick your hand up and get someone else to solve the problem for you? Now we are learning at distance, the majority of us, we have to show a little bit more academic resilience. We have to fathom things out for ourselves, and I don't think that is a bad thing. Another example of demonstrating resilience is those moments when we're back playing sport and you don't quite make the team. And it might be disappointing, but it's not the end of the world. And we have to demonstrate a little bit of resilience. Pick ourselves up, dust ourselves down, and carry on. If we don't do very well in a test or an exam, it is not the end of the world. We have to demonstrate a little bit of resilience and pick ourselves up and carry on. And so all those little lessons of resilience that we teach and hopefully you learn will hold you, I promise you, in very, very good stead for what might or might not lie in the future. Who knows what the future will bring? But as we grow as individuals, it is my hope that we become stronger, we become more resilient, and that therefore, when we enter the adult world, we find it easier to cope with certain things. The other thing that the loss of Sasha tested in me was my faith. Now, faith comes in all shapes and sizes, and faith is a little bit different to religion. Faith to me is knowing that you can carry on, knowing that you can keep stepping forward, and knowing that you are never ever alone in anything you do. And you hear the phrase, don't you? Keep the faith, keep going. And I think this is a really, really important lesson to learn. So I finished this morning's assembly with what is one of my favourite readings. And I want you to listen carefully to it, because it underpins my faith, and I think it teaches a very valuable lesson. One night, a man had a dream. He dreamt he was walking along the beach with the Lord. Across the sky flashed scenes from his life. For each scene, he noticed two sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to him and the other to the Lord. When the last scene of his life flashed before him, he looked back at the footprints in the sand. He noticed many times along the path of his life there was only one set of footprints. He also noticed that it happened at the very lowest and saddest times in his life. This really bothered him, and he questioned the Lord about it. Lord, you said that once I decided to follow you, you'd walk with me all the way. But I've noticed that during the most troublesome times in my life, there is only one set of footprints. I don't understand why, when I needed you most, you would leave me. The Lord replied, my son, my precious child, I love you and would never leave you. During your times of trial and suffering, when you see only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. Stay resilient, keep the faith, and keep safe.